Welcome to this video. We will now focus on creating a new component called My Booking List. So once you have booked a flight, you should have a list where you can see all your booked flights. So maybe if you book 3 or 4 flights, you should have a page where you can see, all right, I booked that flight and this flight and even that one here. So we start with generating a new component. Go ahead to your client app folder, right click on it, open in terminal, and for sure we again run a command to generate a new component. So npx ng gc npx angular generate component, call it my minus bookings and attach it to module app. Now let's hit enter, and again you can see that we have new component information right here and that module got created. Now let's add a route to it. So go in client app and then open up app module. Let me just close some folders here. App module. You can see here my bookings component. So let's scroll down a little bit until we come to the path again. Let's just copy it and paste it so that we have a new path entry. Let's set the endpoint or the page path to my booking, just like that. And the component is for sure my booking component. That's all we have to do. As I said, it's a lot of repetition, so every time you add something, you most likely want to do exactly the same stuff over and over again. And now after booking a flight, in our bookflight component.ts, go ahead and open it up. Bookflight component.ts. Scroll a little bit down until you come to book flight. You can find that just here in book flight, right? Afterwards, in subscribe, go ahead and use the router to navigate to our new path. So we can keep that arrow function here and the console arrow log, but we should get rid of console log succeeded here. Just go ahead and call this router.navigate, and then we pass in our path. So / my booking. There we go. Now let's save it like this. We got the information about how we should get routed after we booked. So we have a new component, we have set up the route, and now we even have that navigate call, so we can go ahead and try that out real quick. So once I registered and logged in and book a flight here, number of seats 1, let me book that. We should get redirected to our My Booking endpoint or My Booking page, which is here, My Booking works. So the component is working fine in the redirection too. Now let's switch over to our REST API side and head over to the flight controller. So open up controllers folder, flight controller, and now use everything you have learned to, well, complete that booking endpoint here. So first of all, we for sure have that produces response type of 400. So for client-side errors. Got that for 500 for internal server errors. We got one for 404. We can also go ahead and use status dot status 404 not found, and again produces response type of 200. So those are the attributes we should use here. 200 for succeeding, 404 for okay, I wasn't able to find anything. For example, I wasn't able to find the flight, right? 404 couldn't find flight, or 500 for missing database connection or whatever, and 400 for client-side error. Now, as we have learned, we should make all of those HTTP endpoints that we have here always of type action result. So let's do that. Go ahead and use iActionResult. And as you can see, we don't really have to use a type. So here we used of type flight read model, for example, but we don't have to use it here. Well, you can see that purple underline, which is indicating that we have to restart the application to apply the changes because the application is running in the background using hot reload. Now, we for sure have to return something. So let's return. And as I said, it's HTTP post. So we create something. So we should return a created add action. And this time it's name of find. So we go ahead and create a URI to that find right here, right? It's finding a flight read model, and the new ID is set to dto.flightID. So if we create a booking, we get a response, and in the response you can find the URI to the, well, booked flight. That should be enough for this scenario. Now, as I said, we could potentially have the problem to have the DTO containing a flight which is not existing. So let's go ahead and check for that. So right above our booking ads, let's go ahead and write the code flight equals to flights. This is our static list, right? Don't forget that. .any. You can see this is a Boolean. So does it contain flight, where the flight has the ID of our DTO.flight ID. Right, so do we have a flight which has the DTO flight ID? Oh yeah, since this is an expression, we go ahead and use an operator for sure. So, okay, so now let's check if we have a flight or if we don't have a flight, if flight equals to false. So remember, any returns a bool, not an object. So we don't have that flight model. We have a bool here, so flight is a bool. If flight equals to false, or we can even go ahead and rename it if you like. If flight found, for example, would be a better name for bool, right? So if flight found equals to false, we go ahead and return, there we go, and not found. All right, now we have that handled. So in case we don't have a flight, the user will now see 404 error. Now one last time, let's switch back to our book flight component. We still have that opened here, book flight component.ts. Let me add a line break here, subscribe. Then we have that navigation and we have console error. Let's change this console.error to this .handle error. Right, this is what we have created already. You can simply select it and press F12. You'll get directed exactly to the definition, handle error, and you can see if status 404 flight not found. So we got that implemented now. Cool, great. So everything is set up now, and we have even took care about, well, the API documentation from that one here, and also about some situations like what if we don't have a flight from client side and web API side. Great. So this is enough RESTful development for today. Let's go ahead and switch over to a completely different topic. Just a small chapter on that for today, which is about styling.